There is an explosion of interest around the world and a desire to recreate the golden age of dance. Argentine tango is rich with tradition and history, which makes this dance unique and the subject of much fascination. Dazzling, scintillating, and most provocative in character, today we bring you a tango experience. Welcome to the Passion of Tango. I'm Barbara Novikov, and our guests are Barbara and Lee Sobo, who are instructors at El Mundo del Tango, and Corinne Fond, who is a current student and ardent fan of tango. Argentine tango has been capturing the hearts of many, and it's very rich in its culture and its history. So let's roll the clock back, go back in time. And Lee, would you tell us a little bit about the history of tango?
Yes, Argentine tango started in the late 1800s in the city of Buenos Aires. Like the United States, Buenos Aires had a lot of people coming from Europe, primarily Germany and Italy. They also had a lot of slaves who were in the country, and they brought with them their own music, their own history, and it all blended together to create this thing that's called tango. No one really knows where the name tango came from. They think sometimes it came from the sound of the drums that the African slaves would make. Other people have other opinions, but no one's really sure. Because of where it grew up, primarily in the bad parts of the neighborhood. It wasn't very well accepted by the Argentine aristocracy. It was kind of looked down upon, frowned upon. But in approximately the 1910s, 1920s, a lot of immigration from Argentina to Europe took place, and it was introduced to the aristocracy.
And where did these settings take place? As you're speaking, I'm wondering, was this in gambling houses and cafes, on the street?
Well, in Buenos Aires, they were on the streets primarily, and in Europe, it was anywhere dancing was being done, but it was quite the rage in the palaces, and it became the accepted thing to do. And of course, when the Europeans accepted it, the Argentine aristocracy had no choice but to accept it. So it began to be the rage in Argentina as well.
Was there a golden era, a time when the streets were crowded and the bars were crowded and it was just a thing to do?
It grew in size and in acceptance until approximately the 1940s, 1950s, which is considered to be the golden age of tango, when the greatest composers were playing and orchestras, and most of the music that we have today is from that time. In the 1960s, they had a similar experience that we did in the United States, where people our age grew up and we rebelled against anything our parents had anything to do with, and so it died down. It died down significantly, and its current resurgence started in the late 1980s. There was a tour that went around. I forgot the name of it, Argentine Tango Tour. But in any case, it started in Europe, and it started in the United States and in Japan. And people got real excited about it once again, and it's thriving right now.
And would you say this is accurate to say that it's a dance of cultural romance and love and passion?
Well, we've talked about this. We call it a dance of dispassion, because you always are on the edge with tango. You always holding it back. You have all this passion that you want to release, but you never do. And so, yes, it is. People look at it and they see the passion wanting to come out, but with the experience that we have is of holding it back and restraining it and making sure that we always keep it inside, always on the edge, just about to be released.
So with that restraint, is there a story to these songs that are danced? To each song?
Yeah, there's many stories. Most of the time, they talk about being poor and of having nothing, and you know, they're one of the beautiful things of not understanding all the words in Spanish is the fact that you can only dream of what some of these words might be. But it's got a very interesting background, and those of us who dance it love it.
And what fascinates me is the ladies and how they're dressed in their attire. And I mean, today is lovely gowns and elegant, and you get dressed up. And high heel shoes. Now, Barbara, I have to ask you, these 4-inch heels, are they easy to dance in?
I think so. I think we get used to them because we want to wear them, and we change shoes often for heel height. But yes, it's very comfortable to dance in. I think that when we first started dancing tango, the community took our wardrobe cues from what we were seeing on stage. So it was a lot of black, a little bit of red, slits, fringe. In fact, my daughter said, "Mother, please quit sewing fringe on everything you own." But we sort of mimicked what we saw on the stage. In Buenos Aires, the people are very well dressed, but you see a lot other than black. And I think that the dance has evolved. In the United States, everyone is very well dressed, and you can dance, you can dress what you interpret from the dance. Like if in a particular evening you're feeling very elegant and you want to dress, you can. And it's all about the shoes, Barb. We've talked about that. It's all about the shoes. Everyone loves shoes.
So as you're dancing, what takes place on that dance floor? Is it something magical that happens within and you spontaneously just get in touch with your feelings and you take off into this passionate moment?
I think every dance is different, and depending on your partner and the music. And I think Lee's saying that not many of us understand the words that we're listening to, so we do imagine, and we just sort of dance our own story, create our own story.
Well, our first story is the dance, the tango. So Lee, very, very briefly, could you just tell us what we're going to see?
Yeah, the
demonstration.
The first number is a tango. Tango itself is a style of dance that is more open. There's more patterns. There tends to be more improvisation being done. Lots of really interesting figures. This particular piece is by a composer by the name of Osvaldo Pugliese, who really was a composer from the Golden Age. That was a time when the music was larger, had more instruments, it was more melodic. This particular piece is called Gallo Ciego, which is...
Gallo Ciego. And is this the piece that Barbara and you are going to be dancing?
That's right.
Let's go take a look at it right now. So our next dance is called the Pecho. And I believe, Corinne, you're going to be demonstrating for us with Yves Simard. And Barb, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about who is Yves Simard.
Yves has been dancing for probably pretty close to 60 years now. He is our maestro. He's a phenomenal dancer and instructor. He's studied with Juan Carlos Copes in Buenos Aires, as well as several other famous dancers, and he's just a joy. We're very blessed to have him. He owns El Mundo del Tango here in San Diego.
Thank you. And tell us about the Pecho dance, just briefly. What are we going to see, Corinne?
Well, the Pecho evolved out of a need for more dancers in a smaller amount of space. So the embrace is closer, and it started in the 1950s in the golden era, so at the height of popularity in Buenos Aires, and you just needed that style by virtue of the crowd. So one of my favorite things about Pecho is you can really see the lady's face, and a gentleman that I dance with quite often told me that that's what got him started in tango. He walked in and saw some people dancing Pecho, and he just said, if I can make a woman feel the way those women felt and have that expression on their face, that's something that I want to do.
Well, let's take a look right now at what that looks like. Thank you. That was lovely, Corinne. I understand that was the first time that you have danced with a maestro.
That's true. That's the first time I danced with Yves, and that is true tango. That's improv, and you don't necessarily know your partner, and that's what's exciting about it.
It seems like a lot of work. And what is important to focus on in becoming a good tango dancer?
I think concentrating on the fundamentals and just being aware of your body and your balance and your axis, and not wanting to do these fancy moves right off the bat. It's not about that. It's about being centered and balanced with your partner.
So we are going to go to our next demonstration, which is the valse. And Barb, you're going to introduce that for us. So tell us what that's about.
Well, I'll be dancing waltz with Yves, and waltz is to 3/4 timing, like an American waltz would be. It's probably a happy version of tango for a style because it's very light and flight to it, and it's just very inspiring.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be inspired as we watch you. Here we go.
Mi compañera idolatrada, la mujer que jamás olvidaré y que llevo en el alma reflejada, como tiene en su seno la alborada, la estrella del callado amanecer. Y en la noche callada y misteriosa su recuerdo me invade el corazón y su nombre dulcísimo rebosa de mis labios temblando de emoción. Ella fue la esperanza de mi vida, mi consuelo, mi dicha y mi sentir, la adorada mujer que no se olvida, que se lleva en el alma hasta morir.
I'm curious as to whether there's etiquette that's involved in tango and some rules that one needs to observe. So, Barb, why don't you answer that for us?
Oh, very much so. There's very much so etiquette involved in the dance. In Milonga, which is a tango dance, the music is organized into something called tandas, which is either 3 or 4 of the same type of music or same orchestra, and it's considered good etiquette when you invite a partner to dance that you dance with her for the entire tanda. And then the break music is called a cortina, and that indicates the break and the beginning of a new tanda.
Thank you. Lee?
In Buenos Aires, which is still a very chauvinistic society, it is not okay for a woman to ask a man to dance. And a man, unlike here in the United States, we do not ask women to dance by walking up to him and asking him. They use a technique called cabeceo, where you make eye contact from across the room, and then you nod, and if she agrees, she nods back, and then you meet on the dance floor.
What would that look like? All right, and Corinne?
I think the biggest etiquette pointer I could give would be not to say thank you, because thank you means you're done. So if you've had a nice dance with a man and you say thank you, that means you want to part. So you have to learn how to get thank you out of your vocabulary.
Great. So our last dance is the Milonga, and Corinne and Lee will be doing that. So can you tell us a little bit about that dance, Lee?
Milonga is quite different than all the other dances. It is a happy dance, whereas tango is a sad thought that one dances. Generally speaking, the dancers will dance every beat of the music. The woman is responsible for keeping the count, whereas in this case, the man can syncopate in between. There's a lot of, you have to hold your body very firmly because you don't, in this case, your body doesn't do the talking, your feet do.
Great. Well, let's watch and see what happens on this next dance.
me dicen porque nací en la quebrada, carnavalito de mi querer, toda la rueda venga a bailar. Porque soy como mi cerro, curtido por la quebrada, carnavalito de mi querer, toda la rueda venga a bailar. Carnavalito, corazoncito, porque soy de dicha vivo llorando, llorando. Bum, bum, carnavalito. En el manantial se apaga la sed de vivir, la sed de viajar. En el carnaval que al mí hay de calmar, la sed de un amor que me hace llorar. Carnavalito, corazoncito, porque soy de dicha vivo llorando, llorando. Bum, bum, carnavalito. Palomita sin palomar, un viento malo te quebro, carnavalito te hay de curar con yuyo bueno del corazón. La 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 la, la 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 la. Carnavalito de mi querer, toda la rueda venga a bailar. Carnavalito, corazoncito, porque soy de dicha vivo llorando, llorando. Bum, bum, carnavalito. Venga la gente a bailar. Carnavalito. Carnavalito.
So I have a burning question for you, and that is tango for everyone?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone needs to stay active mentally and physically. This is a very fun way to do it, and everyone needs passion in their life, and this certainly is passionate.
And for all ages?
Yes, there are 80-year-olds dancing, there are 20-year-olds dancing. It doesn't matter. And all skill levels as well. I mean, if you just walk around the dance floor to the beat of the music, you can have a wonderful time.
Great. And also, what about the festivals that perhaps are available to people who might be interested in tango? Barb?
Yes, in end of March 2008, next year, there will be an Argentine Tango Festival here in San Diego, and it will be 3 full days of workshops and milongas. It'll be lots of fun. Good chance for people to come out and see what tango's all about.
Great. And you will all be there, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Great. So I want to just thank you so very, very much for all of you being here and participating and demonstrating tango with your passion and with your feelings involved with the dance that you gave to us today. Thank you so very much. And I'm fascinated by tango. I've never had a tango lesson, and I'm wondering, Lee, if you'd be willing to give me my first tango lesson.
Well, I'd love to.